Hello students, welcome to your WebSeek Academy English channel. Today, we will discuss the essay The Sporting Spirit, which is part of the first semester BSc English syllabus. This thought-provoking essay was written by George Orwell, a renowned British writer best known for his works like Animal Farm and 1984. A note on the author. George Orwell, 1903 to 1950, was the pen name of Eric Arthur Blair. He was born in Motihari, India. His father, Richard Walmesley Blair, was a civil servant for the British government. As he failed to win a university scholarship in England and without an opportunity to continue his education, he went to Burma and served in the administration of the Indian Imperial Police from 1922 to 1927. Later he went back to England and decided to become a professional writer. His world-renowned novels are Animal Farm and 1984. The Sporting Spirit Summary. Introduction. George Orwell, in his essay, The Sporting Spirit, attacks the romantic notion that sports promote international understanding, peace, and friendship. He takes a strong stand against the idea that sporting competitions can reduce conflicts between nations. Orwell believes that in the modern world, especially after the rise of nationalism and mass media, sports have become another weapon for promoting hatred and rivalry among different groups of people. Main argument: sports cause hatred, not friendship. Orwell starts by pointing out that whenever two countries meet in a sporting competition, it often leads to an increase in national hostility instead of goodwill. Whether it's football, boxing, or any other competitive sport, the desire to win leads players and spectators to develop negative feelings towards the opponents. Instead of shaking hands and feeling friendly, people often walk away from matches angry, resentful, and even more divided. He uses real-life examples to prove his point. One major example he mentions is the 1945 tour of a Soviet football team, Dynamo Moscow, in Britain. Instead of improving relations between Britain and the Soviet Union after World War II, the matches were full of controversies, accusations of cheating, unfair refereeing, and public outrage. Instead of creating a spirit of brotherhood, the competition created bitterness and tension. The nature of modern sports. Orwell emphasizes that modern sports have changed drastically from their original purpose. In ancient times, games were played for recreation, physical fitness, or fun. Today, however, sports are professional, commercial, and heavily political. Players are trained like machines. They are pushed to their physical and mental limits, not for personal enjoyment, but for the glory of the nation. Winning at all costs, the focus is no longer on playing the game, but solely on winning and defeating the opponent. Spectators' emotions, the public views these games as serious battles. They emotionally attach their national pride to the success or failure of the team. This professionalization and commercialization of sports, Orwell argues, have made games less about enjoyment and more about warfare without weapons. The role of nationalism. One of the key points Orwell makes is that nationalism and sports are deeply connected. In international competitions, athletes represent not themselves, but their country. As a result, victory becomes a symbol of a nation's superiority, while defeat is taken personally as a national insult. Instead of building bridges between cultures, sports become a platform for people to boast, insult, and humiliate each other on an international stage. Mass media, newspapers, radio, and later television also fuels this nationalism by exaggerating small incidents, glorifying victories, and blaming defeats on unfairness or cheating by the other side. Examples and evidence. Orwell supports his argument with examples from different countries. The tensions between Britain and the Soviet Union after the 1945 football matches. The rivalry and hatred seen during matches between India and Britain. The fierce competitions between different countries during the Olympic Games, which often mirror political tensions. In all these cases, Orwell shows how sports do not help in bringing people together. Instead, they reflect and even worsen the political and social divisions that already exist. Conclusion. Orwell concludes that the idea of sports promoting peace is a myth. In reality, modern sports have become a continuation of political conflict by other means. Sportsmanship is often talked about, but rarely practiced when the stakes are high. Therefore, Orwell suggests that sports, far from promoting harmony, mostly intensify hatred, aggression, and division among people and nations. Short answer questions. 1. What example does the essay open with? Answer. The essay opens with the example of the visit of the Russian football team, Dynamo Moscow, to Britain in 1945, which resulted in increased hostility and bitterness between the British and the Russians instead of promoting goodwill. 2. Which is the worst sport according to the author? Answer. According to George Orwell, boxing is the worst sport because it involves direct physical violence and often stirs up the worst feelings of hatred between opponents. 3. Mention the sport described as a leisurely game by the author. Answer. Orwell describes cricket as a leisurely game, highlighting that it was once played more for enjoyment and relaxation rather than for fierce competition. 4. The writer wishes to send only a second-rate British team to the USSR as a follow-up to the Dynamo's visit because A. He wants them to lose, preventing more aggression in the name of sports. B. He is sure England doesn't need a first-rate team to beat the USSR football team. C. He couldn't care less about sports. D. He would rather they win the Olympic finals than a match against the USSR. Answer. A. He wants them to lose, preventing more aggression in the name of sports. 5. Why does country living have no time for sports? A. Because there is too much work to be done. B. Children are not allowed to play. C. There is no place for sports. D. There are many outdoor activities that give young people outlets to expend energy. Answer. A. Because there is too much work to be done. 6. Dash is considered to be the founder of the modern public school. Answer. Thomas Arnold is considered to be the founder of the modern public school. Answer each of the following questions in about one page. 1. Why does the writer consider that sports played at international level can only be a mimic warfare? Answer. The writer considers international sports to be a form of mimic warfare because they create the same emotions and rivalries as real wars. Instead of promoting friendship, international sporting events stir up nationalistic feelings, where each side tries to prove its superiority over the other. Orwell points out that when countries meet in the field of sports, it often leads to bad tempers, cheating, and hatred, similar to the emotions involved in actual battles. Thus, international sports are like a substitute for war, where the battlefield is replaced by the sports field, but the underlying aggression remains the same. 2. What makes the writer conclude that serious sport has nothing to do with fair play? Answer. The writer concludes that serious sport has nothing to do with fair play because, in highly competitive matches, the only goal is to win at any cost. Players and fans become so obsessed with victory that they are willing to cheat, use foul methods, and behave aggressively. Orwell notes that serious sport is about boastfulness, rivalry, hatred, and physical violence, all of which go against the idea of fair play. Thus, the true spirit of sportsmanship is lost when sports are played seriously on a professional level. 3. Explore why the writer regards urban communities as primarily responsible for the flourishing of organized games. Answer. Orwell believes that urban communities are responsible for the flourishing of organized games because city life lacks natural physical activities that are common in rural areas. In the countryside, people are occupied with farming, hunting, fishing, and other outdoor work, which keeps them physically active. However, in cities, people lead more sedentary lives and need artificial ways to maintain physical fitness. As a result, organized sports were introduced and popularized in urban areas to provide a structured form of physical activity and entertainment. Urbanization thus created the need for sports clubs, leagues, and competitive games. 4. What, according to the writer, is the cause for the rise of the modern cult of sport? How does it differ from the past? Answer. According to Orwell, the rise of the modern cult of sport is mainly due to nationalism and mass commercialism. In the past, sports were leisurely activities played for enjoyment and fitness. There was little concern about victory or defeat. However, in modern times, sports have become a symbol of national pride and international prestige. Winning has become essential, and sports have turned into a serious business where emotions, politics, and national interests are deeply involved. The casual spirit of games from the past has been replaced by aggressive competition and professionalism. 5. Annotate the following. I am always amazed when I hear people saying that sport created goodwill between the nations, and that if only the common peoples of the world could meet one another at football or cricket, they would have no inclination to meet on battlefield. Answer. In this line, Orwell expresses his disbelief at the common claim that sports foster international goodwill. He argues that, contrary to popular belief, sports often create more bitterness, rivalry, and hatred among nations. The statement is ironic because Orwell has observed that sporting competitions, far from preventing wars, actually promote nationalistic feelings similar to those that cause wars. Instead of reducing aggression, sports often serve as a trigger for it. Answer each of the following questions in about 2 pages. 1. How does the writer relate sporting spirit to nationalism? Answer. In The Sporting Spirit, George Orwell strongly argues that modern sports are deeply tied to nationalism. He believes that sports, especially when played at an international level, are no longer just about enjoyment or physical exercise. Instead, they have become a way for countries to prove their superiority over others. According to Orwell, whenever two countries meet on the sports field, the game becomes a symbolic war where each side wants to dominate the other. Orwell explains that the emotions seen in serious sports such as pride, anger, and hostility are very similar to those seen in actual warfare. Winning a match is seen as a national victory, and losing one can feel like a national insult. This creates tension not only among players but also among spectators, who cheer aggressively for their own country and jeer at the opponent. Orwell says that such emotions do not create goodwill but rather encourage hatred between nations. He gives the example of the Russian football team, Dynamo Moscow's visit to Britain. Instead of promoting friendly relations, it led to arguments, accusations of unfairness, and bitterness. Orwell points out that this is not an isolated case. Similar things happen wherever sports and nationalism mix. Whether it is football, cricket, or boxing, national pride becomes more important than fair play. Thus, Orwell clearly relates sporting spirit to nationalism by showing that sports have become an extension of political and national rivalry. Instead of building friendship between nations, sports often deepen their divisions. 2. List out the sports games mentioned by the author in this essay and outline his opinion about them. Answer. In The Sporting Spirit, Orwell mentions several sports and expresses his critical opinions about them. The main sports he discusses are football, soccer. Orwell discusses football a lot because it is one of the most emotional and aggressive sports internationally. He says that football matches between nations stir up bad feelings and violent behavior among spectators. It becomes a way to show national strength rather than friendly competition. Cricket. Orwell describes cricket as a leisurely game in its earlier days. He acknowledges that cricket was once played in a relaxed manner without much focus on winning. However, he also notes that even cricket has become more competitive and serious, losing its original charm. Boxing. Boxing is called the worst sport by Orwell. He criticizes it harshly because it involves direct physical violence. Two men are encouraged to hurt each other for public entertainment, and it brings out the worst feelings of anger and hatred. Rugby. Rugby is mentioned as another highly competitive sport. Like football, it often leads to strong, aggressive emotions among players and fans. Orwell believes that such sports encourage physical violence and nationalistic pride. Baseball. Although Orwell briefly mentions baseball, he mainly talks about how it is popular in America. He implies that, like other organized games, it is a product of urban society needing structured physical activities. Hunting, fishing, hiking, country pursuits. Orwell contrasts organized games with natural country activities like hunting, fishing, and hiking. He views these activities positively because they are done individually or in small groups and do not lead to the aggressive competitiveness seen in modern sports. In summary, Orwell sees most organized sports as harmful because they encourage nationalism, aggression, and hatred. He prefers the simpler, less competitive activities of rural life, which he thinks are healthier for individuals and society. 3. Do you subscribe to Orwell's views on the sporting spirit? Justify your standpoint. Answer. My view partly agrees with George Orwell's ideas about the sporting spirit. Orwell is right in saying that sports can promote nationalism and rivalry. Even today, when countries play against each other in events like the FIFA World Cup, the Olympics, or cricket matches, fans can become extremely emotional. Fights among spectators, harsh comments on social media, and cheating scandals show that sometimes, sports do bring out the worst feelings in people. However, I also believe that Orwell's view is a little too negative. Sports have many positive sides that he does not fully acknowledge. Sports can bring people from different countries together, give them a chance to respect each other's talents, and learn about different cultures. Events like the Olympics aim to promote peace and unity among nations, even though rivalry exists. Moreover, for individual players and fans, sports can teach valuable lessons like teamwork, discipline, hard work, and resilience. Even though some people may take competition too far, most sports still carry the spirit of fair play and friendship. A good example is when players from opposing teams help each other up after a fall or show respect by shaking hands after a tough match. In conclusion, I partly agree with Orwell that sports can cause aggression and nationalistic pride. However, I believe that when played with the right spirit, sports can also be a powerful force for friendship, peace, and personal growth. The key lies in maintaining a balance, celebrating victories with humility and accepting defeats gracefully. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to WebSeek Academy for more English lessons and notes. See you in the next video. Until then, keep knowing and keep growing.